distinguished guests, colleagues, and friends, it is my honor to introduce to you a man of God, a truly exceptional individual who embodies the principles of servant leadership and community building. Dr. Frank Smith has dedicated his career and his personal life to serving others and fostering strong, vibrant communities. He understands that true leadership is not about power or position, but about empowering and uplifting those around us. There have been time after time in his presence that I have witnessed his charisma, his care and concern for others, and his wit. He is not only a man of presence and a man of purpose, but he is a man that can withhold the sensitivity of this community and turn them into purpose and passion. I have seen him at work in the trenches to fight for people who can't fight for themselves. It is an honor to work with District 21 Councilwoman Betsy Rui in honoring him today, not only for his pastoral prowess, but for his educational cheerleading and all of the other accomplishments that he has portrayed in this community, particularly as president at one time of the Ministerial Coalition. Please welcome Councilwoman Rui as she reads a proclamation in his honor.
Okay, so to all whom these letters shall come, greetings. Know ye that the local Metro Council, in spirit of deep gratitude, honors the Reverend Dr. Frank M. Smith, Jr. Whereas Dr. Frank M. Smith, Jr. has dedicated his life to the service of God and his community, leading with unwavering faith, compassion, and wisdom for the past 25 years as the senior pastor and founder of Christ Church for Our Community Church, located in Metro Louisville, and whereas Reverend Dr. Frank M. Smith Jr.'s commitment to spiritual guidance, community outreach, and social empowerment has profoundly impacted the lives of countless individuals, strengthening the bonds of fellowship and love within Christ Church for Our Community Church and beyond. And whereas Reverend Dr. Frank M. Smith Jr. is no stranger to the sacrificial labor and pioneering work involved in church planting and institutional development. He is the creator of a threefold mission at Christ Church for Our Community: reaching up, reaching in, reaching out. And whereas Reverend Dr. Frank M. Smith Jr.'s leadership has inspired hope, healing, and unity, making a lasting difference in Metro Louisville, not only as a senior pastor, but also uplifting and inspiring young men and women in higher education at Simmons College of Kentucky. With a doctorate of divinity from Simmons College, Reverend Dr. Frank M. Smith Jr. serves as the Senior Executive Vice President and Chief Operating Officer since 2007. His work with Simmons College of Kentucky has led the college to retain and reaffirm accreditation, facilitate management of operations and facilities, and facilitate faith and community relations. And whereas in recognition of Reverend Dr. Frank M. Smith Jr.'s dedication, Metro Louisville proudly honors his legacy with the naming of the northwest corner of Brook Park Drive and Preston Highway as Dr. Frank M. Smith Jr. Drive in his honor. And whereas we are immensely proud to have a remarkable network of compassionate and justice-driven individuals in our community, we are profoundly honored to commemorate Reverend Dr. Frank M. Smith Jr.'s inaugural celebration of Christ Church of Our Community Church Day on June 12, 2025. Now, therefore, be it resolved that we, the community of Metro Louisville, hereby confer and pay tribute by way of this proclamation with all rights, privileges, and responsibilities thereunto appertaining. In testimony, we cause these letters to be made and the seal of the Metro government to be hereunto affixed. Done in Louisville Metro City Hall within the Commonwealth of Kentucky this 12th day of June, 2025. Congratulations.
Let me just say thank you. I know that there were persons of our church, persons of Simmons College who supported and recommended this work. And I'm grateful for the presence of many of them here today. My family, my wife Teresa is with me. I'm just grateful. And it's good to see so many of you council persons that I've known through the years. Please know of our love and our support for our city, and that we continue to stand for justice. We continue to stand for those, the least of these, who need our help. Thank you, and continue your work of service. God bless you.
Madam Clerk, are there any addresses to the council?
Yes, sir, there are.
Let me remind those addressing the council to please refrain from using any profanity or making derogatory statements to council members. Additionally, no more than 3 persons may speak to the same topic position on any topic before this council. Madam Clerk, please call the speakers.
Seth Stivalia.
Hello, my name is Seth Zavala. I'm an animal control officer at Animal Services. And I'm here to talk about how the new contract rate has been affecting people's lives. It's said that abstraction kills. When people become numbers on a page, humanity is left behind. That is what has happened here. To change that way of thinking about union employees of Metro government, I have asked my coworkers from Metro Animal Services to share their stories. In the packets that have been handed out, you will learn who they are, what they do, and how they've been struggling to get by. Unfortunately, I don't have enough time to read them all to you, so here are some of the highlights. From an animal adoption coordinator, I sell my plasma twice a week to pay my bills. Love for the job is no longer outweighing the low pay we are receiving. From a business clerk, the cost of everything has risen so much that I can't afford to live on my own. Even though I live well below my means, I can't make ends meet. From an animal control officer, I have 3 children, and the cost for shoes, clothes, and food is hard to keep up with. Mortgage payments and bills pile into that as well. The lack of raises has caused each check to be just enough to scrape by, with almost nothing left for emergencies like a car breaking down or home repair. From another animal adoption coordinator, not receiving any raises has made it significantly harder for me and my spouse to start a family, let alone saving for future goals like childcare, medical costs, or a larger space for a growing family. It feels like I'm stuck in survival mode with little to no room to plan for the future or create the stable, comfortable life that a family deserves. From a vet assistant, I should not have to ask for help to feed my family. I should not have to constantly deny my children the right to go out to places like the zoo because of lack of funds. I want to work a 40-hour work week and be able to afford to live, not just survive. We've seen a lot of the budget go to
buildings and machines that are breaking down. Well, people can break down too. Especially when they can't maintain the basic necessities of life. It is my sincere hope that these words will echo within your hearts. You do the right thing, you give these people what they deserve, and more for what they've been put through. Thank you for your time.
All right.
Hello, my name is Jonathan Berkeley. I'm a member of St. Genealogy Baptist Church, which is located in the California area. I'm also co-president of the club. Just as important, I'm a grandfather of 9, a great-grandfather of 3. Most of the time we have been talking about the consent decree and now our local version of it. We have been talking about historical wrongdoing, and rightfully so. Tonight, I'm here to urge you to keep the funding for independent monitoring in the budget this year. Not because of the past, not because of the present, but because of our future. My grandchildren and great-grandchildren, we're all children across the city. We as a city can set a standard for how people should be treated, not because we've been made to, but because of the city, hold ourselves to a higher standard. This will make our community safe for everyone, which is something all people want. So I urge you to keep the $750,000 set aside for the consent decree monitoring in your budget. Let's leave a city worthy of our children and our grandchildren. Thank you.
Kim, tell us first ma'am.
Hello, my name is Kim Tellis-Ford-Mack, and I'm a member of St. Martin de Porres Catholic Church, 32nd and West Broadway, and I'm also a member of Clout. Last fall, Clout listened to stories of more than 400 community members, and our members voted on mental health as a top issue that we were concerned about. Since then, we have been researching national best practices for mental health, and it is clear that Louisville is far behind our peer cities. The biggest gap is that there are not enough safe places for people to go when they're in a mental health crisis. Last week, I had an experience that brought that fact close to home. A group of club members were at St. Augustine Catholic Church at 13th and Broadway. We were preparing for an upcoming event when suddenly a young man was standing in the doorway looking through the glass doors. He seemed disoriented, and he was staring and pointing in different directions. One of our members went out to check to see if he needed anything, then sent him on his way. A few minutes later, the man returned, walked through the door, and sat at the table where we were meeting. Once again, someone ushered him out, and eventually he left. It was a very difficult moment for me because I wanted to help him, but I had no idea what to do. I'm not an expert. I'm not trained to identify mental health problems. And even if I was, I don't have the resources to get him what he probably needed. If we knew that a crisis center existed, and if we were confident that the police or other first responders had a safe place to take him, we might have felt comfortable referring him there or calling 911. But as it is, So many people like him wrongfully end up in jail rather than getting the help they need in a crisis. The solution to this problem is to have a 24/7 crisis drop-in center like the one 7 counties is working to establish. This center would let people walk in or be dropped off by first responders. Once there, they would receive an evaluation from a licensed practitioner who can connect them to the appropriate level of care and other needed resources. Oh, sorry. Thank you.
Arnetta Moore. Arnetta Moore. Valerie Schwartz.
Hi, my name is Valerie Schwartz, and I was nudged to speak here today by REAL, Renewable Energy Alliance of Louisville, who I have met through the Interfaith Environmental Action Network, who I met through First Unitarian. I am here to speak about the resolution 10219 from 2020. It is a 100% renewable energy measure that was proposed here and passed. And I know that there were concerns that would be held over your heads. And so coming here, I felt a little worried about this. However, I do fully believe that I would rather encourage than hold things over anyone's head. And yet there's a sense of fear that the planet is holding this over our heads. And this is terrifying and nerve-wracking, but not impossible to deal with, not at all. And I'm excited that the resolution passed. I want to say thank you. That is incredible. And there was one more issue in particular, that the private sector would ultimately do what is in their best interest from a cost standpoint. Before me, there have already been speakers who are speaking about having to do what is necessary, not what that person wants to do, even for their self-interest, because they have to choose what happens first, and which is more important to them, and where minor resources go. And I know that your resources are not unlimited, and you are working with that too. In that vein, I wanted to bring up, because I am a nerd, Sam Vine's group theory. He said, one of his characters expressed, that the character made $38 a month, and that a really fine pair of boots costs $50. A cheap pair of boots where your feet stay wet costs $10. However, the person who pays $10 for those boots are paying it over and over again because the boots don't last. The $50 boots last. I want Louisville to have some good walking boots into their economic future. I really want to see us work towards the resolution that we did approve. I know that that was a really ambitious project, and that is exciting. Members of REAL would absolutely want to know, how they can help as well. I would love to help in any way possible, including standing here today. REAL has asked for $500,000 for the 25-26 fiscal year. So give us some good boots if you want. It would be much appreciated.
Well, I'm also with the Renewable Energy Alliance of Louisville, but I have a little different kind of message for you. I'm an architect. I'm specializing in energy efficient design. And I'm also a resident of the council district. Donna, thank you for your support. Also want to thank the council for passing Metro Resolution 102 just 5 years ago. That resolution has various goals. The first goal is to have all Metro government buildings use only clean, renewable electricity by the year 2030. That's just 5 years from now. This goal is ambitious, but it can be done. Let's put our money where our resolution is. Please budget money to make this resolution a reality. Your energy manager, Zach Tyler, is working on energy upgrades for Metro buildings, and he's doing a great job. But energy upgrades will only go so far. To go the whole way toward clean, renewable electricity for 2030 for Metro buildings, you must start to budget for solar electric now. Providing all Metro buildings with solar electric panels would save the current electric bill of $12 million a year for the next 30 years. You ask, how is this possible? Well, the solar electric panels pay for themselves in the first 10 years, after which Metro would get free electricity for the next 20 years, which means a profit of $12 million per year for 20 years, or $240 million. So, and if electric rates rise, which we know they will, in the process of being driven up higher now, this will also increase the profit that you would reap. The money saved could be used for so many projects to benefit your constituents, and cleaner air will benefit everyone. As a good first step, please budget at least $500,000 for solar electric on Metro buildings in this year's budget. Time is short. Please take action to uphold your resolution. Thank you for your attention.
I'm so sorry, Mr. Smith. I have Daniel Cobble. I'm sorry. Please forgive me.
Right, and I'm on here.
I was going to speak on Megan Kelly saying she still suffers from bullying in school. To prevent scarring our children for life, we must implement a proven parental school staff partnership where parents and grandparents are aides to teachers and classrooms and as hall monitors. And I was going to speak on how Governor Parrish-Wright is disqualified to run for president due to my lien on him. See attached this lien due to Governor Parrish-Wright supporting the 3 antitrust violations causing the constant hikes on prices and taxes. Instead, I have to respond to President Trump on May 20, 2025, illegally initiating U.S. mercenary support called contractors to Netanyahu in Gaza. I then waited for the first terrorist attack in the U.S. On May 23, the young Jewish couple was gunned down at the Jewish Museum in Washington. On June 2nd, the flamethrower attack in Boulder, Colorado. On June 7th, the riots began in LA. Trump and Netanyahu knew full well that terrorists allowed in the U.S. by Joe Biden will respond to this new mercenary policy. With the EU recognizing Gaza as a state and threatening to suspend investments in the U.S., we cannot risk collapsing the U.S. dollar. Trump's clinical narcissism is incapable of making decisions for the U.S. well-being. Netanyahu and Joe Biden knew about the October 7th attack and allowed it to happen. killing 53 million plus people has created the hate to spur terrorism and wars for the next 1,000 years. To save ourselves/America, we must sacrifice these few people by one, demanding the prosecution of Netanyahu and Biden for war crimes, murder, etc. 2, removing Trump from office. 3, recognizing the two-state solution without Hamas. And 4, paying restitution to the people of Gaza in the West Bank. I ask that people take this proposal to the elected officials, and P.S. we will have the money to restore Gaza in the West Bank when ending the 3 antitrust violations. See online, help you end the weak U.S. dollar. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Kim Smith.
Hello, everybody. God bless you. My name is Tim Scott Smith, and I'm a ordained minister of the Gospel of Jesus Christ. And I currently attend at the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, First one on Union Station Road. And the reason why I'm here is I do a lot of outreach ministry. I try to help anybody and everybody I can. I preach on a bullhorn. Been doing it 13 years, traveling the country in a lot of different cities, doing what I can to get people to Jesus. But here in Louisville, I've seemed to run into a little snag with some of the city ambassadors with the orange, trying to stop freedom of speech. I've had them try to stop me a few times. So I did take a video and then take pictures and say, hey guys, I can walk up and down the sidewalk to preach all day. You can't stop that. You've got a weed eater in your hand. That's not your job. You know, you're not getting paid to try to stop free speech. You know, and I bet you're not going to try to stop these people Saturday. You know, and I'm doing good things. You know, I'm trying to help people. You know, I'm trying to, you know, my target is the alcoholic, the drug addict, trying to help people get off drugs. I've been clean 19 and a half years from cocaine. I smoked cigarettes for 19 years, no cigarettes 12 years. Used to watch a little bit of porn. God's delivered me from everything. He's a good God, you know. And I give him all the glory, and I want that for everybody else too, you know. But Louisville's a challenge city. There's a lot of hurt here. There's a lot of strong emotions. There needs to be a lot of healing here, and the only one that can do it is the Lord Jesus Christ. You're not going to find joy in Jesus. You're not going to find it at Bill Ballard. You're not going to find it down here at the local pub. You know, you're not going to find it, you know, with Cuddy Sark and Old Forrester or Brandon Ray and getting angry. It's not going to do it. You know, we got to get on our knees. We got to pray. You know, and ask God to intervene. You know, and I expect the worst Saturday, but I hope the best. And I pray that everything's safe and all officers respond properly. I've already talked to some officers. I deal with them quite a bit because of free speech issues, but I don't, you know, I had an officer recently. I was at St. X High School, and when I went to high school, I wasn't saved. And actually, the principal at St. X had called the police, you know, when I was preaching, said, hey guys, come to Jesus. Jesus loves you. You know, make sure you read the Word of God and know Jesus. Read your Bible. That's more important than your trigonometry book, your geography book. And so they got upset with me. You know, Catholic high school, they got upset. I had nothing against Catholics. I had nothing against Baptists. I love everybody. There's only one church in heaven. It's no denomination, one pope, one shepherd. But anyway, an officer showed up, ran me off the sidewalk, you know, told me to leave. So I went to the other side, and then he came over to the other side, threatened to arrest me, you know. And so I tried to get his name and all that, but you know, we need to stop all that, you know. I mean, you know, you're trying to stop people from hearing the gospel. And you know what? The devil is a lie. You know what I mean? That's where it's coming from. You know, and that's the persecution. You know, I get people giving me the faith. They don't even know me. I say, you don't know me. You're not mad at me. You're mad at God. You're angry at God. You need Jesus. You know, you need to get cleansed. You need to get washed in the blood and get right. But anyway, God bless you. Pray. Love you guys.
Thank you. Nancy Cavalcante.
I'm Nancy Cavalcante. I'm a constituent of District 26. Now is the time for the Metro Council to be bold and represent your constituents who are asking for oversight and accountability. The police continue to lack transparency and are only being accountable to themselves and the administration. Resolution 2925 represents the voice of the people. We are asked to forget and move on. We are tired of empty words and counterintuitive actions and not being at the table. Now is the time for the council to advocate for the citizens. The history of policing in Louisville report tells us a consistent through line across the history of policing in Louisville has been the blatant unaccountability of police officers for their actions. In a democracy, citizens must have a say in the function of an institution that affects them. Given the outsized role that the police play in the lives of the marginalized communities, it's imperative that the police are accountable to these communities. The DOJ findings point to failures of the administration and not just LMPD. They have adopted practices which increase the risk of discrimination, particularly in the case of those with mental health disabilities. Metro should open new ways of communicating with residents and hear from those impacted by the unlawful practices named in the report. When will this begin for real? Governance transparency involves making government operations and decisions open, understandable, and accessible to the public. This includes providing information on policies, actions, and resource allocation, fostering trust and enabling citizen participation, which is a fundamental element of good governance and helps prevent corruption. Lack of transparency, then, can involve secret motives and intentions, prevent public access and scrutiny, cause lack of access to information that can help with good decision making. Important decisions may be made without adequate information or public participation, which is important, leading to a lack, again, of accountability. It causes confusion and frustration among stakeholders. Conflicts of interest are not addressed adequately and potentially leads to unfair and unethical behavior. When there is little or no external monitoring, it can be difficult to assess the fairness, honesty, and responsibility of decisions or practices. Last, but certainly not least, a lack of transparency can erode trust in institutions, making it difficult for organizations to build positive relationships with the public.
That's right.
Webster's dictionary says the definition of accountability is very simple. The obligation or willingness to accept responsibility for one's actions. A lack of accountability means not taking responsibility for one's actions. It can involve not doing what's expected, giving insufficient effort, failing to follow through on commitments, and avoiding blame.
I'm sorry.
Essentially, it's the failure.
Didn't go off. I'm so sorry.
I'm not done though.
You're like 10.
I'm not past 3 minutes. It's the failure to answer for one's behavior and consequences. In closing, I will close. I remind you that this resolution represents the voice of the people. It brings the opportunity for new response to the request for true transparency resulting in accountability. Let's begin to change here tonight. Are you listening? As representatives of your constituents, please vote yes.
Hello, my name is Chris Spencer. I attend St. John Paul Catholic Church in the Heights Point area. I've been a member of CLOUT for more than 10 years. Professionally, I have a master's degree in social work, and I have worked in the mental health field since the 1980s. Most of my work has been focused on direct services, but I've also been working on improving access to such services over many years. And here it is, 2025, and I'm still having to work on improving access to mental health care services. CLOUT has a unique perspective on mental health service issues in Louisville, as our research on this goes back at least 8 years. Indeed, during our extensive research, we learned that one of the biggest gaps in Louisville's mental health care system is that there aren't enough good options for people to use when in a mental health crisis. Without a safe place to go, too many people wind up in a jail or in a hospital emergency room, both of which tend to only make a crisis worse. We found that the national best practice to solve this problem is a 24/7 drop-in center. These centers allow people to walk in or be dropped off by first responders, including police. Once there, they will receive an evaluation from a licensed practitioner. who can connect them to the appropriate level of care and resources. Now, a center like this really isn't anything new to Louisville. Beginning in 2017, our city had a crisis drop-in center for about 18 months. By all accounts, this program was highly successful and gained many supporters. 7 counties, which was then called Centerstone, provided this service, and the funding was provided by Metro government. Sadly, this program lost its funding in 2019 due to a variety of funding pressures impacting local government at the time. 7 counties, however, is again working to establish a crisis drop-in center beginning by January 2026. But in order to bring such a program back to reality, funding will need to be in place. We are asking you as our Metro Council to make this happen. You have the power to amend the budget and create the funding for this desperately needed service. After the initial investment to launch the program, CLAP believes that 7 counties can work towards sustainable funding without annual costs for Metro government. The need for mental health services has increased over the last several years, in case you've been reading any of the media. So the time to do this is now. Thank you.
Next, we have the approval of the council minutes for the regular meeting of May 15, 2025. Motion. No corrections, deletions, motion for us, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Hearing no opposition, the ayes have it, the minutes are written as approved. Approved as written. Next, we have approval of the committee meeting minutes. Following committee minutes from all in 2025, the regular committee of the whole, May 15th, the regular planning and zoning committee, June 3rd, the regular public works committee, June 3rd, the regular government oversight, audit, and appropriations committee, June 3rd, the regular equity, community affairs, housing, health, and education committee, June 4th, the regular appropriations committee, June 4th, the regular public safety committee, June 4th, the special ad hoc committee on efficiencies of boards and commissions, June 4th, special committee of the whole, June 5th, regular budget committee, June 5th. Any corrections or deletions?
Motion. Second.
Items on the floor, all in favor of adopting those, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Any opposition, the minutes are approved as written. Madam Clerk, do we have any communications to the council?
Yes, sir, we do.
Please read those in the record.
Dear President Anderson, in accordance with the ordinance, I'm reappointing the following to the Anchorage Middletown Fire Protection District Board. Jason Smith, a mayoral appointment term expires June 30, 2028. Andrea Osler, a mayoral appointment term expires June 30, 2028. Your contact on these reappointments is most appreciated. Sincerely, Craig Greenberg, Mayor. Dear President Anderson, in accordance with the End of Displacement Commission ordinance, I am appointing the following. Barry Cornstein, a new appointment term expires June 26, 2028. Valerie Golson Day, a new appointment term expires June 26, 2028. Vashti Proctor, a new appointment term expires June 26, 2028. Evan Bradley, a new appointment term expires June 26, 2027. Dr. Brandon Graves, a new appointment term expires June 26, 2027. Beverly Morton, a new appointment term expires June 26, 2027. LaShonda Allen, a new appointment term expires June 26, 2026. Michelle Gardner, a new appointment term expires June 26, 2026. Your contact on these appointments is most appreciated. Sincerely, President Mayor. Dear President Anderson, in accordance with the Civilian Accountability Ordinance, I am appointing the following. Corbett Michael Scholl, a new mayoral appointment, term expires March 25th, 2028. Contact on this appointment is most appreciated. Sincerely, President Mayor. Dear President Anderson, in accordance with the Ethics Ordinance, I am appointing the following. Krishna Tibbs, a new appointment, term expires June 30, 2028. Casey Kinkle, a new appointment, term expires June 30, 2028. John Hatfield, a new appointment, term expires June 30, 2028. Imran Ashlam, a new appointment term expires June 30, 2028. Your protection on these appointments is most appreciated. Sincerely, President Mayor. President Anderson, in accordance with the Fire Protection District Ordinance, I'm appointing the following to the Fairdale Fire Protection District Board. Danny Vale, a new appointment term expires June 30, 2028. Your protection on this appointment is most appreciated. Sincerely, President Mayor. President Anderson, in accordance with the Protecting Our Works, Local Workforce Development Board Ordinance, I'm appointing the following. Jasmine Wiggins, a new appointment term expires December 17, 2028. Your protection on this appointment is most appreciated. Sincerely, President Mayor. Dear President Anderson, in accordance with the Redevelopment Authority Ordinance, I am appointing and reappointing Tim Martin, a new appointment, term expires February the 28th, 2028. Clara Pasafume, a reappointment, term expires February 28th, 2028. In contact on this appointment and reappointment is most appreciated, sincerely, President Mayor. For President Atkinson, I am appointing the following to the Right Side Board of Directors. Derek Bell, a reappointment, term expires December 31st, 2028. This is to be read into record only. Metro Council approval of this appointment is not required. Sincerely, President Mayor. Dear President Atkinson, I am appointing the following to the Community Action Partnership. John Young, a new appointment, term expires August 31st, 2026. Michelle Rogers, a new appointment, there's no expiration date. This is to be read into the record only. Metro Council approval is not required. Sincerely, President Mayor. Dear President Atkinson, I am appointing the following to the Tax Appeals Board. Mark England, a new appointment, term expires August 31st, 2026. Albert Canterbury, a new appointment, term expires August 31st, 2026. This will be read into the record. Metro Council approval of this appointment is not required. Sincerely, Mayor.
Those appointments need council approval will be forwarded to the Government Oversight, Audits, and Appropriations Committee. The next item on business is a special notice of a proposed amendment to the Metro Council rules in accordance with Rule 1.01, subsection D. The rules of the Metro Council may be amended by a majority vote of the entire council, provided that notice of the vote and a copy of the proposed amendment are given at the previous meeting and appear on the agenda. Madam Clerk, reading of item 24.
A resolution amending Rule 101D of the rules of the Legislative Council of the Louisville Jefferson County Metro Government regarding amendments to the Metro Council rules. Read in full.
Our next order of business will be the consent calendar. Consent calendar comprises items 25 to 39. Are there any additions or deletions?
Second.
Madam Clerk, we need a second reading of those before we have a motion to second, guys. Madam Clerk, a second reading of those items.
The following legislation was forwarded from the Budget Committee, item 25, an ordinance amending ordinance number 100, series 2024, relating to the fiscal year 2024-2025 operating budget by $25,000 for the Neighborhood Development Fund, District 26, to the local Metro Council General Operations, District 26. The following legislation was forwarded from the Equity, Community Affairs, Housing, Health, and Education Committee, item 26, a resolution authorizing the mayor to accept $8,900 funding from the National Environmental Health Association, NEHA, through the Retail Flexible Funding Model, RFFM grant program to be administered by the Department of Public Health and Wellness. Item 27, resolution honoring Reverend Dr. Frank M. Smith Jr. by dedicating the northwest corner of Park Drive and Preston Highway as Dr. Frank M. Smith Jr. Drive in his honor. The following legislation was forwarded from the Government Oversight, Audit, and Appointments Committee. Item 28, a reappointment of Colonel Dietrich Briscoe to the Deputy Sheriff Merit Board, term expires June 30th, 2027. Item 29, the appointment of Rolanda Spur to the Deputy Sheriff Merit Board, term expires June 13th, 2027. Item 30, a reappointment of Tracy Below to the Fern Creek Fire Protection District, term expires June 30th, 2028. Item 31, reappointment of Leslie Grant Vincent to the Jefferson Town Fire Protection District Board, term expires June 30th, 2028. Item 32, reappointment of Sharon Dieter to the Oklahoma Fire Protection District Board, term expires June 30th, 2028. Item 33, appointment of Jordan Harris to the Parking Authority of River City Park Board, term expires June 30th, 2029. Item 34, appointment of Dina Whitmer-Weedman to the Pleasure Bridge Park Fire Protection District, term expires June 30th, 2028. Item 35, reappointment of Kathy Wigley to the St. Matthews Fire Protection District Board, term expires June 30th, 2028. On legislation reported from the Planning and Zoning Committee. Item 36, an ordinance related to the local master plan and approving its executive summary as an attachment to the Plan 2040 Comprehensive Plan, case number 25 LDC 0002. Item 37, an ordinance related to the closure of a portion of Franklin Street east of Jackson Street and a portion of Jackson Street between East Main and Witherspoon Street containing approximately 61,730 square feet in the Louisville Metro, case number 24th Street closure 0034. Item 38, an ordinance related to the closure of unimproved North 12th Street and a portion of unimproved High Street, both north of Rowan Street containing approximately 29,912 square feet in the Louisville Metro, case number 25 Street closure 0002. The following legislation is supported from the Public Works Committee. Item 39, a resolution to relinquish on behalf of the Louisville Jefferson County Metro Government and transfer of the title, ownership, maintenance, and operation of a city street thereto to the Kentucky Transportation Habit.
May I have a motion?
Second.
Motion.
Second.
I have a spot before us. Madam Clerk, this vote requires a roll call vote. Please open the roll.
Point of order, sir. Is this a two-thirds vote resolution, or did I miss that?
No, the two-thirds vote resolution has been read into the record.
Oh, really?
Pursuant to the rules.
Okay.
It will not be discussed. It will probably be put off. It's my motion, it's my rule change. It will probably put off for about 4 to 6 weeks, so we can have some robust discussions regarding such.
Okay, but you did call it up for the roll call.
So it has had its first reading and is available for a vote moving forward.
I was just wondering about the jury.
No, sir, you have it.
All right, thank you.
So open the roll.
Councilmember Kramer?
Yes.
Mr. President, you have 26 yes votes.
Fantastic. Next item on the agenda will be with old business. We're gonna take an item out of order because of one of our council members might have to leave early. We're gonna start off with, item 50. Madam Clerk, read item 50.
A resolution endorsing recommendations from the United States Department of Justice regarding the improvement of the Louisville Metro Police Department amendment by substitution. Ready?
This came out of, Councilman Sines committee. Councilman Sines?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This bill was product of Councilwoman Shamika Parrish-Wright, and I'd like to turn it over to her, please.
Councilman Parrish-Wright, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Councilman Simon. This is a resolution that the people have come together with. We've made many compromises to get this to a point where this body can accept this and listen to what the people have asked for. I know that many of you don't want to be forced to vote on this, but it's important that the people of Louisville see how the sausage is made, see how decisions happen, go through the process to understand what's been put forth. So many compromises. People have been working on this for years, and I want to thank the People's Consent Decree Coalition for all of the work and all the hundreds and hundreds of people who have been attending these meetings, filling out surveys, meeting with their elected officials. This is important. This is not my ego or personality tied up into this. This has been something that we as a body should recognize. This does not take away from Mayor Greenberg. In fact, I just heard tonight that if it does pass, he will sign it. And that is a great movement forward. That we haven't had. And the fact that we've gained 3 more co-sponsors, I really am thankful for Councilman Leninger, Councilwoman Rui, and Councilwoman Chapel, who have signed on to be co-sponsors, and who said to me, Shamika, if you all work on this language, we'll come aboard, and they have. We've gained 4 new votes thanks to Councilman Weather, Ben Reno Weber, and Councilman Ken Hernan, and many more of you who have said, okay, this is what we need. So I would love your support on this. I have tried to reach out to the committee members on this. I do appreciate, I did ask for language changes, and just today, we got one totally different amendment from Councilwoman Maureen Woolridge, who is presenting this amendment. But that amendment is really far different from what the community has worked on for a very long time. And I think that moving forward, I will be happy to work with her, Councilman Winkler, and anybody else to do something that is around the ordinance part of this. This is a resolution that has checked a lot of boxes and a lot of calls and really went through the process. This is a win for the people, and that's what I want you all to see that as. I know that some of you are not as affected by these issues, but many people in your districts have. We've had support from every district for this resolution. Not all of them could be here, but many are represented in the audience and online. So this is a time where we can show as a council where we are. And I'm ready to move forward. I don't wanna have to do this year after year after year, just like you don't wanna have to be dealing with this year after year. Let's be bold. Let's do this together. Let's show that we listen. It doesn't cost any money. This resolution does not cost any money, and it does not change anything that the mayor or Chief Humphreys is doing, and actually it goes together. We have a body that we get to make a decision to do, and they have a job to do where they can take action steps. There's commitment, and there's so many places where we meet. I have offered to change and reasonable according to the community and you all, any specific language. Everything that has been offered for changes has been adopted. So I don't know how much more we can bend. We're asking you to be bold, and thank you for the opportunity to share.
Yes, I'm gonna call for a motion of substitution by amendment that I filed today.
Second. Items properly before us. Is there any discussion on the amendment by substitution?
Well, should we do just a quick presentation?
Was that, go ahead.
Yeah, so today I did introduce that substitution by amendment. So I do recognize that we as Metro Council have heard the people. So last week in the committee, I know that we had the conversations in regards to that's one thing that was asked from the people to make sure that we were being heard. Also, I make sure it reaffirms our shared responsibility to the people that we serve. The resolution acknowledges how far we have come. It also states that we still have work before us. I can't fully support the resolution that was originally brought before us back by Councilwoman Parrish-Wright. We have heard during the committee last week that the people again wanted the council's acknowledgement, their voices had been heard, and that reform that was needed. I've also not seen a reason to not allow both the mayor and LMPD to stand behind the reforms that they've been making since 2020 that are being made and the community commitments. As I stated in the resolution, the U.S. Department of Justice previously launched an investigation into the practices of LMPD. The findings report outlined areas of concern around patterns practice of LMPD. Since that time, and with the urging of our community, LMPD is taking meaningful steps to rebuild trust, restore accountability, and reform how public safety is delivered. More than 216 policies have been adopted, policies focused on transparency, constitutional policies, and the overall well-being of both our officers and the communities they serve. The mayor and LMPD again entered into community commitment to continue commitment and reforms. This resolution covers everything in that community commitment, including the oversight that has been asked for. It's an ongoing commitment. It acknowledges the hard work that has been done, lifts up the voices of our residents, and reinforces the council's role in shaping a safer and fairer Louisville. It's a commitment to providing oversight from the Government Oversight and Audit Committee. We support continuing investment in our training, wellness, and community policing. Again, even though I couldn't fully support the last resolution that was put before us, I have said to put myself forward that I'd be willing to continue to work with the body, LMPD, the mayor, and our constituents towards the continued reform. So again, I ask the support of this resolution.
Councilman Leninger, you're next in the queue. Thank you, Mr. President. I want to thank Councilwoman Mulvey-Woolridge for engaging with us on this process. Something that Councilwoman Parrish-Wright really emphasized throughout the process as this sat in public safety is that she wanted engagement. She wanted our colleagues to come together and to bring amendments to discuss this issue for the community. And so I want to thank you for that. Something else that Councilwoman Parrish-Wright really emphasized is that she wants to highlight when LMPD is doing the right thing, and that she wants to highlight when we are making reforms, when things are going well. That should be part of this process. I do feel that the way that this amendment has been submitted to us as an amendment by substitution, instead of adding affirmative language, it completely removes the language that was written, that I was a co-sponsor of, and substantively very much changes the thrust of the resolution. While I do appreciate the engagement with the process, I do urge my colleagues to vote no on the amendment. And then if we want to bring this new affirmative language in a new resolution, let's have a discussion about this new affirmative language. But having removed the previous language completely in amendment by substitution, I can't support that, but I do look forward to speaking with you more on this issue. Thank you. Councilwoman Parrish-Wright, are you speaking to the amendment or speaking to the overall ordinance as it is?
Speaking to the amendment, sir, I think Councilwoman Hawkins is in line before me.
She was, but she queued in under the original.
Okay,
Are you
gotcha.
queuing in for the amendment?
Okay,
Madam, are you speaking to the amendment or to the?
okay, oh, thank you. I do too share the same sentiments as Councilman Leninger, and just wanna say, this resolution, which started as a people's consent decree, moved so far from that. The DOJ's decision to drop the federal oversight does not negate what happened to bring us to this point. It does not negate the voices of the many people and how many years people have been working on this. We're in year 5 since Breonna Taylor, but there's been many, many other years of documented history and harms by LMPD that your resolution doesn't touch. I wanna say that your title says, our title was removed, a resolution urging Louisville Metro government to formally acknowledge the documented harms of the Louisville Metro Police Department and to encourage the Louisville Metro Police Department to build trust in the community, endorsing recommendations from the United States Department of Justice regarding the improvement of the Louisville Metro Police Department. That was our original title. Yours says, a resolution recognizing implementation of public safety reforms and committing to continued council oversight, amendment by substitution. That is a big difference, and I understand that you are married to a police officer and you expressed in our committee meeting how this was hard for you and what he had to deal with, especially with the harm. What we're talking about doesn't take away from that. It doesn't take away from the investment in LMPD. Later this month, we're going to pass a budget that increases their budget. It's done it every year. They have a new headquarters. They have a new logo. They have new police cars. They have better pay. They have a 24-hour center. They have all those things. The community is asking for recognition of these harms so that they hear their voice in the process. This is not anti-police. This is not anti-reforms. This is not anti-anything. And where you break it down and you say, in May 2025, the DOJ moved to dismiss its lawsuit and court-ordered version of the consent decree related to this investigation, it does not say that the mayor and the police chief and our administration signed those findings and agreed to what those findings said. And they're on the website, they're everywhere, and so they signed that, they agreed, and they came to an agreement. Because the DOJ failed to take it further, and our mayor neglected to object to that, does not take away the work that's happened here. And so, and like you say, since the issuance of the DOJ's findings, LMPD has implemented more than 260 new policies aimed at enhancing accountability, transparency, and the overall effectiveness of policing. I think that that is great, but I bet you 10 people in here, including us, can't name more than 10 of those reforms. And that means that there's still more work to be done with transparency, with being clear about what that process is. Again, the original resolution and the amended version of that resolution is not asking for that. It's not asking to break that down. I do think it needs to be an ordinance to make sure that the things that you want happens, but acknowledging, you have number 2 in section 1, acknowledges that the people's voices have been heard. We can't just say that, and I don't know how long you've been working on this, but I just got it this morning, so we can't just say, and I'm gonna wrap it up, Mr. President. We can't just say that the people's voices have been heard if we've been working on this for years, and then you give me this resolution, this resolution at the beginning of a day of a very important vote. That means that your legislation didn't go through the same process as ours did, the same scrutiny. It took me weeks to even get the county attorney to even respond. So this means that whatever you did had a faster speed than anything that I've ever put forth. So that tells me it needs more time to do what Councilman Leninger said. Let's take that, what you're doing, I think is great. I've talked to Councilman Piagentini, who said this is the closest you all are gonna come to meeting in the middle. I'm happy to meet in the middle, but none of this has to do with what the resolution is for today, which has been trimmed down quite a bit to meet the needs of this council. And that is the people have said, okay, they're never gonna do this, can we meet here? I'm asking that you consider holding this and letting, and I don't wanna have to vote down your amendment, but I'm not convinced that this amendment meets the needs of the people, and I'm willing to work with you moving forward. Thank you.
Councilman Hawkins, your next review.
I'd like to have a question.
Second. Motion to call the question before us, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any in opposition? The question has been called, and this is on voting on the potential amendment by substitution. Madam Clerk, please open the roll. Now, a vote for, in the affirmative, a vote for yes is for the amendment by substitution. A vote no is against the amendment by substitution. Madam Clerk, please open the roll.
Councilmember Kramer?
Yes.
Mr. President, you have 13 yes.
I can't have a hard time voting.
There's somebody missing.
Yeah, there's someone missing.
I'm not, I haven't voted.
Yeah,
I see that.
Okay. So,
That being 13-13, the amendment fails. We are back to the original resolution before us. Any discussion on the original resolution? Councilman Pizzatini, I have you first.
Yes, there's been a lot of discussion about this, so I'm also going to call the question. Thank you.
Is there a second to call the question?
Second.
Okay. Motion to call the question before us. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any in opposition? Roll call, please, on call the question.
It says to approve, but it's actually a call question, okay? Councilmember Kramer?
No.
Mr. President, you have 12 yes and 14 no.
The motion to call the question has failed. The next person in my queue is Councilman Hawkins. Councilman Hawkins, you have the floor.
Thank you. I want to say, what you don't experience, you don't know. What you don't know, you shouldn't speak about.
Come on. All right.
And what you have not been affected by, you wouldn't understand.
Come on.
I want to commend my colleague. Our hard work she has put into this resolution. I've watched you bend. I've watched you fold. And I've watched you beg for support. So I'm in full support. So I'll be at yes. Amen.
Councilman Leonard, you're next in the queue. Your floor, sir.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to again, reiterate after the vote on the amendment that I still want to talk about, where we have gone in terms of reform and how far we need to go still, but that we do need to highlight things that are going well in LMPD. I want to continue that conversation, and I want to be clear about that. I also want to be clear about the need for us to have, a significant role in whatever happens as far as the mayor's proposal on the consent decree, that we do our job in terms of oversight of the executive and government accountability. But what we have before us tonight is a question about the acknowledgement of harms that we all agree that there have been problems in our community. We may not agree on specifics, we may not agree about degree, we may not agree about timeline, but we agree about harms. We do agree about harms. And I think it's important that we have, as a body, an acknowledgement finally of those harms. That conversation started in 2020 in earnest, but it had been happening in Louisville my entire life. I remember, in high school, I was at Eastern Kentucky in football camp and talking to kids on the football team about LMPD and shootings and about inequality in policing in our community. I urge my colleagues, let's take the first step to healing. Let's acknowledge harm, and then we can start to move forward as a community. I urge your support of the base resolution. I stood with Councilwoman Parrish-Wright in the square in 2020. I stand with her now. I will be voting yes, but regardless of the disagreements we have on specifics, I know we all acknowledge harms. Let's go ahead and acknowledge harms and not play with a political football here in front of our community. Let's do the right thing. Please vote yes on this.
Councilwoman McCready, next to you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. I too commend our colleague, Councilwoman Parrish-Wright, for the hard work and dedication to this particular resolution. I was here when she presented the first one, and I must admit that at that time, the timing was a little off for me. It was a little bit more complicated than it totally is today. They have worked tirelessly to make it where it is as simple and succinct and doable. So I commend her for that as well. At the time when they first introduced it, the mayor and the police chief hadn't even gotten together with the DOJ to make a move one way or the other. And it was important to me to find out what the city government was going to do and what LMPD was going to do before I signed off on any resolution. Today, we don't have that option. It has been taken away from us that the DOJ is even caring one way or the other how Louisville functions when it comes to our policing and our government oversight. So today, this resolution, it makes a bold statement about simply saying we do care in this council. And that no one, and I mean no one, should be able to say that the people have spoken if the people don't believe they've spoken. I certainly am in support of this resolution, and I look forward to working with my colleagues on an ordinance that will codify mandates to make certain that everybody in this particular community is safe. Thank you.
Councilwoman Reed, next one.
Thank you very much. First of all, Councilwoman Parrish-Wright, thank you for carrying this for so long, through so much adversity. What you started with did have a lot of challenges. What you have now, I feel, is a very good resolution. I am proud to be a co-sponsor on it. I'd also like to thank our mayor and our chief of police for standing behind the consent decree. Even when our Department of Justice said that they didn't think that they needed to do anything, they stood behind it and continued to work on it. And this is simply an acknowledgement that these harms have occurred. I've had lots of conversations in my office, and we've talked about things like Slushygate. There's a culture there. If you think it's okay to throw a soft drink at somebody and videotape it and put it on paper, that's a culture. That takes a lot of change. That's something that we need to acknowledge. These things really happen, and then we need to work on them. I know our chief has worked diligently, and I've actually heard some conversations among LMPD that show that the things that he's put in place are happening. And I absolutely respect and support that. This is simply an acknowledgement that these things happen, and that we as a council understand that, and we're here to stand behind LMPD and our mayor and everything to continue with this consent decree process. And I am in full support. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. President. First of all, Ms. Parrish-Wright, I just want to let you know that I fully support this. And you and I had a long conversation over the weekend, and you know, a lot of times
My voice is quiet, but my eyes and my ears are always open. And it's been a long time for us to move forward with this, so hopefully we can start to seek the justice and we can feel the equity in policing here in this community. Councilwoman Roy, I would never ever forget the feeling that I felt learning that slushes were being thrown on people, violating their constitutional rights just to walk down the street. It's never been okay for anyone to be disrespected, no matter by whom. So congratulations and thank you.
All right.
Councilman Parrish-Wright, next to my key.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to thank you as my colleagues, and I know that coming into this council as an activist organizer, I got put in a box. I did not want to be pigeonholed to police reform, but I am a lawmaker now.
Yeah.
And it is our job to listen to our community. It is our job to carry their will forward, and I take honor in serving with you all. I check my baggage at the door. I've been a very moderate voter since being on this council. I wanted a lot more stuff done, but I when you make it make sense, I support you, and that's across all aisles.
Right.
So I think that that's what I'm asking for now. This makes sense, even if it doesn't for you, for too many people in our community, some who will never have the courage to say something to you. And as Councilwoman Purvis said, when I was at the park at the anti-gun violence event this past weekend, a 76-year-old woman came to me and she said to me, I do a lot of great work and I've been a part of this community, but I've also suffered abuse at the hands of LMPD. And back then, you just didn't say nothing. You were happy, you survived the moment, you got to drive home. And she listed the times where someone was just helping her on the side of the road and she ended up being cursed out. And it let me know that when we talk about equity and fairness and accountability, that doesn't wear a party head. That is people who want to be treated fairly no matter what. And people all over Louisville have felt this. And LMPD has admitted that they are committed to moving us forward. This is just our part of that. It's our part to say, we hear you and we're ready to move forward. So again, I ask for y'all to support because this is not anti-police. This shows that we as a body are recognizing that these harms have happened, people want to be heard, and that is the language that we should be carrying forward. I thank all of you who will vote yes, and even some of you that are on the fence, I hope that you will do what's right by the people of Louisville. Take yourself out of it. Take your loved ones out of it. I have family members that are police officers. This is not against police officers. Police officers have been a part of this process. Police officers still reach out to me weekly about issues they suffer internally. I haven't even brought half the things they brought to me here. So this is not just the people you see in the audience. It's a bigger group in our city that have dealt with these issues. Let's do the right thing while it's our turn.
The next in the queue is Mayor Weber.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to again commend you for the work that you're doing. Again, I want to commend my colleague for offering a voice and to be a part of this. I really do think that that's important. I think it would mean something to our community to have this council endorse something that we can all agree on. So I look forward to the ordinance. I look forward to the continuing conversation. And I think what is striking to me about this revised proposal that Councilwoman Parrish-Wright has labored so hard to get to this point is that it is something that LMPD has acknowledged, that the mayor's office has acknowledged. There is not anything in this that has not been publicly acknowledged by the people most impacted by it. People who this could be seen in a negative light have said, no, yeah, we're good. This stuff right here, we acknowledge this. And I think that is also really powerful. So I just want to echo my support for that. I think it would be meaningful for us to come to something here. And I generally am against resolutions, as we have discussed. I don't think that is usually what we should be doing unless it is a resolution calling us to something over which we will have control in the future, that is in our purview, and that enables us to say, are we doing the things that we have said that we are going to do? Similar to what we did with the environmental pieces around our energy goals. This is something we can control, and we want to say to ourselves and future selves, we believe this. So I'm fully in support of this, as is, I believe, LMPD and the mayor's office, which is not a nothing burger. That's a real thing. So, thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Herman, your next, or actually,
Councilman Chamberlain was next to Mike.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to commend Shamika. I know it was hard road and we fought hard and we supported you the whole time. And just want to let you know that I appreciate everything you've done. And I also want to thank Mr. President because he did get up to the top so that I could leave early because I did have to leave. But I was still able to be here and vote.
I wanted to have the opportunity, so we went ahead and did first. Next in my queue is Councilman Hearn. You have the floor, sir.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll be brief so you can leave. Last week, I was seeking some additional information, particularly that from the ACLU's comparative study. I've received it. It is satisfactory to answer my questions. And for that reason, and on behalf of my constituents, I'll be voting yes.
Councilman Son, you have the floor, sir.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm going to stand in support of our LMPD. We have a CRAB, Civilian Review and Accountability Board. We're paying Office of Inspector General a lot of money for them to with oversight on LMPD. I've been a victim of bad policing. I've been a victim of a bad landlord. I've been a victim of a bad doctor. There's bad folks. But I think the ones we've got left in LMPD are good folks. They're here to serve and protect. They've been beat on for the last 3 or 4 years. I've heard this slushy gate come up, but nobody has said anything about the police having piss thrown all over them, about spit on or nothing like that. And these people have families and babies to go home to. And I didn't see anything in the language that had anything positive to say about our LMPD. The bad guys are gone. They've been gone for a couple of years. We're trying to heal now. Let us heal. The police are trying to heal. I've heard enough about Slushygate, but nothing about pee and feces thrown on our police officers. They're humans too. They're people. There's been bad people in the police department. We got rid of them. The ones that are here now are to protect and serve. They love our city. Now, I know that there's folks out here that want to keep belittling our police officers, say they're not here to help. But as soon as they get in a crisis, they're going to call 911. And a police officer is going to be there to help them. So they can belittle and run it all they want, but LMPD, the ones that are there now, that are there to protect and serve, and I stand with LMPD. Thank you.
Councilman P.G.T., you're next to the floor, next to the floor, sir.
Thank you, Mr. President. So, I almost never called the question, and I literally never called the question. I did it because, I know everybody's mentioned having respect for Councilman Shank. I have a ton of respect for Councilman Shank. I want to be able to go home if she wants to go home. But I have another colleague of mine who is, he's the second in charge of the National League of Cities, traveling to Washington, D.C. He had an event to be at. We had very limited time to vote on this. And now, because everybody dragged this out, we have no ability to get his vote recorded. And I'm really upset about that. I let it be known, it was very clear that we moved this up so he could have the chance to have his voice heard. And now his voice will not be heard. So I'll go ahead and speak here for a little bit about my opinions on this. This is not, we put forward what I thought was a very good resolution. I thought it was very clear. I think what we're creating here is confusion. And I want to be clear about something. I have zero intention to keep taking votes on the same issues over and over and over again. Okay? Whatever happens to that, right? Whether this passes, which is not what I'm going to vote for, or not. And I told my colleague, Councilwoman Parrish-Wright today, I was not, there was some discussion about tabling this. To the hell with that. We should all be able to be heard, and we should all be on the record. And I'm glad to be so with my no vote, because I just think, again, current language is not what I would do when we present others, and the council didn't agree with that. But whatever happens here, I want to be clear that it is, I will fight any other resolutions, ordinances that reference this to me. Because We already have a process, and just for the public's awareness, we didn't have to do any of this. We already have a process. The executive branch put forward his community agreement, we put, the mayor, he's head of the executive branch, has LMPD, he's put forward his plan for reform. Our job is oversight. By state statute, government oversight and accountability, one of the things I do agree with the current resolution is the oversight function of this council over the mayor's office. So we will execute that function. We didn't have to pass a resolution, we don't have to pass an ordinance, we don't have to do anything, do what is already stipulated in the law. If we don't like what the mayor's doing, we'll call him out on it. If we think his policies are bad, then we make adjustments. We do what we have to do via law. Right? But this, to have vote, I'm just saying, moving forward, having votes over and over and over again, is going to do nothing but create confusion. When Councilman Simon said it could create division. When it's time to move forward and take action. Action is what is going to fix any issues we have. Not statements that don't have any particular impact. That's what I'm interested in doing. As Vice Chair of Government Accountability, I'm going to join Chairwoman Purvis of that committee to make sure that things get done. Right? Because that's what we should do with every department, including LMPD. No department in the city is past that. So, just wanted to explain my no vote. It's, we're going to agree on things on this council. We're going to disagree on things on this council. Whatever ends up happening, that's the way we're moving forward. I'm interested in the action side of this. And I just wanted to express my disappointment that we moved this up to get my colleagues to be able to vote on this. And now we dragged it out for his voice, which means the people he represents will not be heard. So, we usually try to include people's votes here, try to accommodate, and it's unfortunately we're able to do that tonight. Thank you, Mr. President.
Next in my queue is Councilwoman Cranky.
Thank you, Mr. President. To my colleague, I certainly sympathize with the fact that our colleague who's out of town could not vote and his voice was not heard. It really sucks when your voice is not heard. I want to address something else. It is very, very important for me to say this because I cannot leave this chamber tonight with the notion that our voting for something that the police department and the mayor's office agreed to has something to do with anti-policing. I will not be accused of not supporting the police, as I have been accused in the past by those of you who make things up. I am not anti-police, never have been anti-police, will never be anti-police. We need them, and we need the good police officers. As my colleague stated, there are some on the force. I respect them. I will continue to respect them, and I ask for them to continue to respect me and the rest of this community. But I will not leave tonight without having said that voting on this resolution has anything to do with being anti-police.
Thank you.
Councilman Hawkins, your next in queue has
Yeah, thank you. Just one thing I want to say to my colleague over there, Councilman Piantini, respectfully, I did tell my colleagues about the time restraint, but I can't silence their voices, and I won't. But I would like to call a question.
Yeah, it's already called and voted down, so it cannot vote at the same time. Councilman Shanklin, your next in queue, you have the floor.
That I had to leave. I just want to make it plain. I had to leave because I hurt my back, and I came because I want to be supportive of her. I could have stayed home and watched it on TV, but I came down here and I just asked them to move it so I didn't have to sit there all night. But I just want to say that, so they would think I was just trying to go home and watch TV.
I know everything's there. Councilwoman Mulvey Ward, your next in queue is Florida.
Thank you. And I do want to say thank you for those that took the time to read the amendment that I put forward, and, the comments and, just the back and forth that we had. And, Shamika, we had a lot of the conversations back and forth on the committee last week, right? I expressed my concerns with the resolution that was put forward, not only from myself, but from constituents that I've heard from. I've not heard from everybody, but those that I have heard from, I've expressed those opinions of those. And some of those being that things that are listed in this resolution, there's not everything in the community commitment or in the DOJ findings are listed here, but there's some. So, some of the concerns that I expressed in the committee were how do we pick and choose, what do we put in the resolution and what do we don't, right? And so, this doesn't pass that conversation, something I definitely want to continue, yes. Yes, there's bad apples, right? And that's with the police. I work in the business world, there's bad apples in the business world, and it happens. I do agree with Councilman Simon when it says that I know that the mayor and LMPD and others have acknowledged, and I've acknowledged that things have happened and bad happened. I'm not going to say that it didn't and that it hasn't. I have never heard an acknowledgement, like I said, of what happened at LMPD over the last few years. Yes, I said in committee that being a spouse of an officer sucked. Really bad. Because my family's life was put in jeopardy during all that, during the peaceful protest. Can we please? So, my family's life was put in jeopardy. My kids were sitting watching TV when my husband went across there and there were gunshots fired by someone else at the police. They didn't know if he was unarmed. He's coming home with stuff all over him, urine all over him, spit all over him, having to take showers in the basement, change in the basement, his clothes in there before he can come upstairs. But no one acknowledges that, but that's okay.
Yeah, we did last week.
Please.
The folks in the audience, we're going to ask you to refrain from conversation. Please consider.
And again, I'm all for having something to move forward on. And so it's not anything that I'm saying that I don't think. My concern is just how do we choose which we pick out of the DOJ or the community commitment, and which we say included and which we say not, right? So this doesn't pass. Happy to have continued conversation. Like I said, I was trying to find something that yes, we acknowledge. Yes, we're saying that there are bad. Yes, it will happen. And how can we move forward with it? So again, I would be happy to have conversations, but I can't support it for certain.
Councilman Pinchetini, you're next to the floor. Thank you,
Mr. President. Some accusations were at least insinuated that somebody's been called things. I don't know what that was referring to, because I know my colleague, Councilman Simon, my colleague, Councilwoman Mobley Woolridge, and I, who have all commented here, accused nobody of being anti-police who supports this. We disagree, obviously, with the language, but I didn't take any personal attacks at anybody or insinuate that somebody said it. I've never stifled anybody's voice in this community. I drove down here every single day during the protests at zero. I talked to people out in Jefferson Square Park as often as I could. Zero problem with people voicing their opinions. That's fine. That's their right. You speak for the people you represent. I speak for the people I represent. And their voices, they disagree with this. They didn't level any accusations. I don't think anybody ever should. And I find it, I'm a little upset that somebody would insinuate that anybody here at least made any such accusations. I didn't hear that. Thank you.
Councilwoman Green, you're next to the floor.
I'm going to tactfully withdraw, but I still have a statement that stands. I am not anti-police, and to be accused of that in any time that I have been on this council is what I was referring to, is a falsehood.
Seeing no one else in the queue, this is a resolution that would normally require a voice vote. However, I'm going to ask for a roll call vote, so Madam Clerk, please open the roll.
President, you have 13 yes votes and 12 no votes.
The resolution passes.
Congratulations. The people have spoken of this community. Thank you.
And ordinance appropriating $3,750 from the development fund in the following manner: $1,000 each to the District 2 and $500 each from District 14, 15, and 16, $250 each from District 2, $30 in the budget to St. Joseph Catholic Orphan Society for costs associated with the St. Joseph 170th annual picnic as amended.
If you do nothing else.
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 If you do nothing else.